You're listening to the Law of Attraction Radio Network.
The secret to well-being is discovering the power that is your birthright, the power to create a happier, healthier life, drawn from our own vast internal resources. Join Jules and her guests as they gently guide you to shift your perspective from the familiar negative to the divinely connected, a place that will not only positively impact your world, but possibly shift the planet. It's all right here on Law of Attraction Talk Radio.
Well, welcome to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. I'm Jules from beautiful Southern California, and I'm so glad you could be with us today. I have got a fabulous show, and I'm so excited about it. Tonight, we have none other than the most divinely inspired human that I just adore, and he is none other than Michael Bernard Beckwith, that many of you know from The Secret that was first aired 2007. And he's also the creator and founder of the Agape Spiritual Center in Los Angeles. Now, Dr. Beckwith is well known all throughout the world. But really, what I admire about him so much is that he can create the excitement within a person to make them want to go beyond their limitations, to experience the life that they were meant to experience. And this is nothing short of fabulous. When a person can empower somebody to start thinking about life in a different way and to see the potential in everything that's out there. Well, it just doesn't get any better than that. And that's what Dr. Beckwith does. I'm just so delighted to have him with us today. And I'm also so excited to tell you that he's our cover guy for the April issue of Law of Attraction magazine. And I'm so excited because he wrote an exclusive article for the magazine, and I'm so excited to read it. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Now I want you to go to lawofattractionmagazine.net and sign up to get an update so that we can tell you when the next issue is up. And you can read it digitally for free, or you can purchase the print copy as well. So there's a couple of different options, but I will tell you the digital magazine is always free. And we want to make sure that you can come in and feel the messages. Every article has a piece of sage advice just for you, because as you're reading it, it's going to open you up to new possibilities. This is what it's all about. It's about you finding those messages from the universe, from source. And you can do it by simply reading. Each article is so profound, and it will speak directly to you if you take the time to just dive into it. That's what I love about the magazine. And I'm just so excited again to have Dr. Beckwith with us tonight. And we're going to be diving into all kinds of things, so stay with us.
It's here, it's hot, and it's a must read. It's the science behind the Law of Attraction magazine. Every issue brings you great articles and in-depth how-tos from all your favorite Law of Attraction experts, authors, scientists, and medical professionals. Go to lawofattractionmagazine.net. That's lawofattractionmagazine.net.
Well, welcome, Michael Bernard Beckwith. Oh, gosh, it is such an honor to have you on my show.
It is my joy to be with you today and for together to touch all of these listeners all around the world that are opening themselves up to great possibilities that lie within their soul. So I'm happy to be with you today, Jules.
Oh, I am. I you heard me say I've been waiting 10 years to finally meet you via computer, but the teachings that you have brought to the world have changed so many lives. And I can't thank you enough for being such a blessing. I mean, you are the epitome of what people want to become. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. It is my joy to be of service to the great light, the great brilliance, the great presence that's everywhere. I just wake up every day and say, I love my life. And how can I be of service? And what's my next assignment? So I'm glad to be with you. Right now, this is my assignment.
Oh, thank you. So, because we have so many listeners internationally, I was wondering if maybe you could give a little bit of a background of how you got onto the spiritual path.
Oh, absolutely. It was in my early 20s. I'll give you a short version of it, but
Okay.
I was in my early 20s. I was attending USC. I was a psychobiology major. My plan was to go to med school after I graduated, and I began to have a series of inner experiences that I couldn't understand because I wasn't consciously on the spiritual path. And I would have great visions. I would have tremendous inner audible voices guiding me. I would sometimes leave my body and travel and see things, and all of this made me very nervous. I didn't know what it was. And this particular process lasted at least a year, and culminated, excuse me, stop this sneeze here, culminated with, I had this dream where these individuals were chasing me. And every night it was the same dream. These three men were chasing me, but I always woke up in time before they would capture me. And then one night they were very close to me and I could make out their faces. And I turned around and there was a small tent with thousands and thousands and thousands of people trying to fit into a small tent. But I knew every single person. So I said to myself, well, these men can't hurt me because I have all these people that are around me that can help me. So I started asking for help, started screaming for help, and one by one, they turned their back on me.
Mm.
And two of the men held me down, and then one took out a serrated knife and stabbed me in the heart.
Oh.
And the pain was excruciating physically and emotionally, and I died. And when I woke up from that lucid dream, I could see that we were surrounded by a presence of love and beauty and intelligence. I never felt any love at that level ever in my life. Every cell was penetrating with a love so divine. The beauty was exquisite, everything glowing with the presence and the intelligence. And so my life shifted, and I began to go to study what had happened to me. I needed to know what had happened. Mm-hmm. And so there I bumped into the mystical teachings of Jesus. I bumped into the mystical teachings of the Buddha and Kuan Yin and Zoroaster and many of the mystical traditions. I studied metaphysics, and I've discovered that so many people who we know about historically have had similar experiences where the veil was lifted and they could see reality. And so it took me a few years to integrate that, and I still went through many changes, many inner luminosity, light, intelligence is flowing through me, and it took me a while to integrate that, to embody and integrate. And I'm still on that same path, getting direct knowledge and insight from the One, the Presence. And so that was over 40 years ago.
Wow.
And I wake up today with the same amount of enthusiasm for unfolding consciousness than I did 40 years ago when it was new to me. I had the same enthusiasm, and And so I'm a perpetual student,
Uh-huh.
and I'm available to be used by the presence of intelligence and beauty and love.
So even you, Michael, are expanding by the second.
Every day, I the person that is sitting here right now is not the same person that was here last year at the same time. There's been insights, there's been revelations, there's been integration of revelation. So there's a constant unfoldment, and that's actually the definition of heaven. Heaven is actually, the word heaven means expanded good from the Greek language. And so heaven is ever expanding good. So when we are constantly unfolding and becoming more and more and more of our greater yet to be, that's heaven. When we're not growing and we're stagnant, that's hell. So hell is stagnancy and heaven is unfoldment. And so I'm in heaven because I'm constantly growing and cleaning my filters and seeing more and more of that which is real.
Wow. Wow. That's powerful. You were just recently talking about this incredible movie called Collateral Beauty.
Yes.
And the message behind that, I don't know if everybody grasped it as well as how you framed it. Could you talk about the message behind that movie, which is so profound, about connection? We are all connected with everything.
Yes. It was a movie that I called it a movie for those people who think and for those people who are questing for a greater understanding of reality. And so I've seen it a couple of times, and the studio had me actually speak about it and actually go to the premiere of it.
Yes,
and actually
I
speak
know.
to the audience about it. But you have this gentleman played by Will Smith who lost his daughter through a disease, cancer, and totally shut off.
Mm-hmm.
And he writes messages to the universe. He writes messages to love and death and time, and they answer him. Love, death, and time come to him, and at the beginning it seems like a ruse, like they're hired by someone to do this to help him get his sanity back. But ultimately, we discover as the movie plays out that death and time and love are actually speaking with him, as it's always speaking to us. Love and beauty and intelligence and are always speaking to us. And so the movie carried the depth of forgiveness. It carried the depth of interconnectivity, how we're all connected. It carried the depth of eternal life, the depth of eternal life. It carried so many things, and it's the kind of movie that, again, is for thinking people. So I don't know what it did in the box office, but it was for a group of people that are probably in the upper echelons of spirituality and intelligence that would see the movie, and other people would think maybe it was just too gooey or too airy-fairy or syrupy. But for those who have heart intelligence, the movie was off the chart.
Off the chart. Off the chart. And everybody I talked to about it, they said the same thing. It had the best message. It totally uplifted them. It was so wonderful. And I was so glad to see that you were right in there with the major promotion of it with Warner Brothers. It was wonderful.
Yeah, they invited me through their PR team to come do it. And the movie carried, there's also another character who's dying of cancer, and he hasn't been forthcoming with his family. You had the Will Smith character who had lost his daughter. He had another character that was estranged from his daughter because he and his wife had gone through a divorce, and he had to suck it up and have the courage to break through that barrier and make his daughter be with him anyway because he loved her. So it was a whole lot of message in there in that short, less than 2 hours. And if anyone hasn't seen it, I would suggest they go to Netflix or wherever, on demand or wherever it is,
Right.
and sit and actually watch it, because it's the kind of movie that, like, if you come to Agape, it's the kind of movie that changes your life, which is what we seek to do here at Agape. We want your life to actually change. And so people need to give themselves sometimes a movie that's not just carries a high entertainment value, but also carries a high transformational value. And Collateral Beauty did that.
Yes, very, very empowering. And I think that you really are empowering the individual to reach beyond their everyday life into something else. And that's why you're such a blessing. So
I have no choice. I made a promise to the universe many years ago, and the universe got me out of some trouble, and I made a promise that from here on out, I know who I work for, and I'm never unemployed, because I work for the presence that's never an absence. The universe is friendly. That's who I work for every day. I'm in service, so I'm very happy. My life could have gone another direction.
yes, but here you are empowering the world. So, sir, in this day and age right now, we are seeing a lot of chaos everywhere in the world. It's just not here. It's just not Los Angeles. It's just not the U.S. It's all of these other countries.
Yes.
What would you say to people to empower them, people in Russia, the Ukraine? What would you say?
Well, we have to understand that looks like chaos. There's a word that was coined a few years ago called chaotic. That underneath the chaos, there's order that's trying to emerge. So when you look at the fitful times on our planet, whether it's the United States, state by state, whether it's India, Africa, the Ukraine, Russia, Iraq, Iran, when you look at the world, you can see that there are some powerful qualities trying to emerge on the planet at this time in human history. And there's some old ways of thinking and being that are dying. And in other words, we're in the middle of a paradigm shift. We're in the middle of an old paradigm that no longer serves humanity, disintegrating. And there's a new paradigm that's rising. The old paradigm is a paradigm based on fear and scarcity and lack, limitation. It reveals itself as might makes right, bullying, illegal activities that we've noticed in our country when the mortgage fiasco that happened in 2007, 2008, where a lot of that was fueled by greed and a tremendous amount of illegal activities. So that's going on. You can't deny that, but it's dying. And then you look at the emergence of a sense of unity on the planet. The internet gave us the global brain, and so now what we're seeking to do is create the global heart to go along with it. So the internet gave us instant communication with anybody everywhere around the planet, no boundaries, no borders. You can talk to somebody in Russia right now, somebody in Peking, somebody in Africa. You can have a relationship. And so so we're in the middle of an emergence of something really beautiful, because the external boundaries that man has created in the sand of time are giving way to a boundaryless consciousness, which reflects our boundless nature, our unlimitless nature. So it's just that the old paradigm has the media. The media is a reflection of the old paradigm. And so people are bombarded every single day with the lowest common denominator of the human experience, what to be afraid of next, let's defend ourselves, let's have security. And people like yourself, what we're doing is we're the reporters of the new paradigm. We're reporting possibility. We're reporting what real transformation can look like. We're reporting what can actually reveal itself. So if you look at this, like business as an example, and back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, IBM's motto was buyer beware. And that was pretty much symbolic of all business at that time, that once you made a sale, then even if the thing that you bought broke, that's on you. We got the sale. And then you had the evolution of consciousness. You had consumer protection laws. And now you're coming into a state of consciousness where business is now becoming conscious. And as I have taught over the last few years, under the aegis of Success 3.0, is that now profit is no longer the bottom line in conscious businesses. People, or you say purpose, people, planet, and profit. So you have to have a multiple bottom line now in order to be sustainable with the new energies that are coming on the planet. So I would say, back to your question, with all the calamity going on, I would tell individuals that in the middle of this calamity, the old is dying and the new is being born. And it looks chaotic. And what we're to do is to find our place where the old is breaking down and the new is being born, where we get to deliver our gifts and represent the new paradigm. So instead of being mad at the old paradigm being so loud and contentious, we have to be in tune with the universal presence and carry the frequency of kindness and love and generosity and compassion and beauty and creativity and entrepreneurship. And these qualities have to loom large within us. We have to build an entirely different world based on the visions that we're now receiving. So all is not lost. We don't need to be hopeless. Old is dying. The new is being born.
What about the other countries where the U.S. has managed to create wars and death to women and children? How do we go from there? It's a subject that weighs heavily on my mind.
On an individual level, when you wake up in the morning, you have to disavow yourself from the egregious acts that your particular government is doing, whatever country you're living in. The United States, you have to consciously disavow yourself from it. You can't embrace, you cannot say my country right or wrong. That's an old paradigm.
Oh.
You have to say my country right, but never wrong. So you have to disavow genocides. You have to disavow plundering. You have to disavow where our country has gone in to help foment war and things of that particular nature. You can't be a part of that in your psyche. You don't want the karma of that for you. And so that's one thing that you have to do. And then secondly, as I said earlier, you have to find your place in the world where you're going to make a difference. So when you look, like some people are now, since 45, I call our present president 45 because he's the 45th president. When you notice that he represents an old paradigm. Mm-hmm. He represents, he wants to bring back the coal industry. The coal industry is an industry that should have died a long time ago because we have clean energy and it pollutes the environment and pollutes the rivers. But he's going way back to empower a coal industry, which is very similar to somebody trying to empower the typewriter industry in the decade of computers. So he's an old man that is, so in the middle of this, instead of being progressive, he's regressive. He represents a regressive energy. What he has done is he has brought together so many coalitions of wonderful people. He's brought so many coalitions together that are now working with each other. More coalitions have come together since the time of segregation and the tearing down of the wall of segregation. Nonprofits that hadn't spoken to each other, that haven't worked with each other, are now coming together to articulate what a kind and just global society looks like, articulate what the Constitution means, articulate the steps that need to be taken. So he has been, in our country, an evolutionary trigger to help move us forward, even though he's like Mr. Magoo stumbling around saying wild things and trying to take the nation backwards. It's actually pushing us forward at a much more rapid pace because individuals that were lethargic and apathetic are now waking up. Now people are calling their Congress people, their senators. They're calling they're getting involved again. They're becoming citizens. And active citizens, because in order for a democracy to work, the citizens have to be active and actually have to say, we want this and we don't want this. People have also woken up to the fact that we don't have a democracy, that we have a republic.
Right.
That basically when you vote, your vote doesn't even count. It goes to an electoral college and then someone else is voting a block of votes. And so people are now waking up to the fact we've been marketed since we've been in school that we live in a democracy, but we don't live in a democracy.
Right.
England and Canada live in a closer democracy than we do. We live in a republic that's controlled by small groups of people and an electoral college. And so people are now waking up. And so so he has invited this kind of inquiry. So people can now wake up and begin to demand changes and make differences on the planet. So I look at this as a very exciting time to be alive, where you're actually going to see in our lifetime a shift of paradigm, because the universe doesn't go backwards. It can be a blip on the screen where there's a temporary a sense of stagnation and going backwards, but the universe is always moving forward. So we're the generation that's going to see, we're going to see clean energy. You're going to see a renewable energy. That means it's going to be a shift in the economic system, because the economic system is immature because it's built upon a non-renewable resource called oil.
Right.
And so that's why there's always a fluctuation. And that's why there's lack and limitation, because the economic system itself is built upon something that is non-renewable. But once the economic system is built upon something that is renewable, then debt and lack and scarcity dissolve, and you live in a vibration of abundance. Now, anyone who has studied the law of attraction, the law of radiance, anyone who has studied unity and oneness knows that we live in an abundant universe.
Right.
As the Bhagavad Gita says, you can take abundance from abundance, and abundance still remains. There's no lack anywhere. It's only lack if you have a system that's based upon lack, of which our economic system is.
Right.
But we're the generation that's bringing forth hybrids and electric cars and free energy. So in the next 20, 30, 40 years, we're living on a different planet. And so we're looking at the death throes of an old paradigm, fear, doubt, worry, lack, limitation, and control of a population. Death throes to a shout of jubilation of the next stage of human evolution. We're in the middle of it right now. And we can see signs of it. You see Teslas, you see hybrids,
Right.
see different kinds of energy. You see windmills, you see solar, you see thermal energy. You see all this energy that is now ready to be tapped into, and eventually it's going to move in that direction, and we're living in a different world. And no more. And then you don't need to plunder. Countries don't need to invade other countries to steal their resources. We're looking at we have a global brain. We have to develop the global heart so that we're in communion with each other. I cannot be just an American. I am a universal citizen. I'm a global citizen. So what happens in any country is happening to me. Therefore, we have to mediate. We have to talk to each other. We have to share with each other, not plunder and steal. That's caveman consciousness.
Right.
You see? And so I think enough people are maturing now. We're going to shift out of plundering and stealing in the name of democracy and begin to really step up to a much higher level of consciousness. Not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen through the tireless efforts of individuals who are waking up, forming coalitions, articulating vision, and walking in that direction.
I really feel like collective consciousness has changed dramatically. And I remember seeing on YouTube videos of people from Israel sending people in Iraq or Iran messages of love. We love you. It's not us who are thinking about war, it's our government, but we love you and we respect you. And there was more and more coming out from all of it. To me, that was the real essence of being human. We were communicating and connecting with people all over the world saying, yeah, we're the same, we love you.
Absolutely. And also, there's a lot of coalitions between Palestinian people and Jewish people. That
Right.
doesn't make the news. And
Yes.
and the governments are intractable because they have a very limited, myopic political point of view. But the people left to their own devices are eventually will find a way to have peace if the intractable, myopic, nationalistic governments would stay out of the way. And so you do have much happening where people are reaching across cultural lines and
Yeah.
ethnicity and things of that particular nature to foment peace. And eventually, the strongest vibration wins. And peace is way more stronger than hate. Peace is way more stronger than prejudice and stereotypes. Peace and love is way more stronger than separation. And eventually, that's going to be the dominant paradigm. And but governments, and particularly the governments, are one of the last bastions of the ego. It's like the ego creates separation, and governments' tendency are the last to give way to a much more higher point of view. Individuals do it. They go to their spiritual communities, they meditate, they do their affirmations, they pray, they do the life visioning process, they study. Individuals wake up to it. Governments are the last to do it, and because they're intractable, they're into the status quo. Whereas the mystics, the entrepreneurs, the musicians, the artists, the creators, they are the progressive ones. So we did not take a human incarnation to strengthen the status quo. We took a human incarnation to make progress.
Exactly.
The soul unfold. And so we're actually looking at, right in front of us, we're looking at a cemetery. We're looking at that which is already dead masquerading aliveness.
Oh, I love that. So let me ask you, based on the law of attraction, how should we be looking? We should know that everything is in perfect order and working out according to plan. Or how do we address this so that we can help the situation?
We look at the facts. We have to understand the facts are an outpicturing of a paradigm that used to exist. And then we have to lift our vibration so that the work we're doing on the planet is carrying the frequency of the next stage of human evolution. So the law of attraction, I wrote an article for you.
Thank you.
And one of the things that I mentioned is that the law of attraction, and I've been teaching this for years.
Yeah.
There is a law of attraction. Birds of a feather flock together. Frequencies that are similar vibrate together. But oftentimes, the law of attraction is a linguistic convenience for really the law of radiance, the law of vibration, and the law of emergence. What do I mean by that? When you begin to lift your vibration and frequency, and you begin to embody at the depth of your being what peace really is. Peace is the dynamic of harmonizing good.
Oh.
What love really is. The total givingness without any sense of withhold. Beauty, generosity, kindness. You start to vibrate at that level. And then what happens is you radiate those frequencies from you. And you create a condition for the emergence of what already exists in the field of infinite possibilities. Within the unified quantum field of infinite potential, peace and love and harmony and goodwill and a kind and just global society, it already exists as a possibility. But we have to vibrate at that level, radiate it so that it can emerge. So if an individual is practicing the law of attraction, they're becoming aware that they hold the key. That when they wake up every single day and they go out into the fray of their day, that they're carrying the frequency of the answer. Even if they can't visibly see it right now, they have to carry that vibration. And then 2 people come together, 3 people come together, 10 people come together, holding that vibration. That vibration is stronger. 10 people that can hold the vibration of peace is way stronger than 100 people that are holding the vibration of fear. Why? All thoughts are not created equal. A thought that's oscillating from a sense of unity is way more powerful than a thought form that's emanating from a sense of separation. So as we come together, we're reading your magazine. We come together. People are attending Agape International Spiritual Center. We come together. They're watching uplifting information on YouTube, buying the books. As we come together, we're creating a vortex, a field of possibility that without any regard to a pre-existing condition will emerge. Now, that last sentence I just said is very important. When you embody something, it will manifest, and it doesn't care about any pre-existing condition. Doesn't care about who's in office, doesn't care about what the economic cycle is doing, doesn't care about the past. Just like you take a seed, and that seed is in your pocket, you forgot about it, and then a year later, you plant it, it begins to grow. That seed grows regardless of any existing condition. In other words, it doesn't care that it was in your pocket for a year. It doesn't care that you forgot about it. It doesn't care that it wasn't planted. The moment the condition is right, it starts to grow. We live in a field of infinite potential, infinite possibilities. The world we want to live in, it already exists. We vibrate at that level via the law of attraction, the law of radiance, the law of vibration, the law of emergence. Wow, it shows up. It doesn't show up magically. It shows up mysteriously and mystically through individuals, through me, through you, through those who are practicing.
So when we wake up in the morning, are we to say and set our intention for the day? Are we to say, I'm not going to pay attention to any of that media stuff because it's not really going to keep me uplifted? Is that what we're supposed to say, that we really don't have to be bothered by what the things going on with the government because I choose to stay in this frequency? Is that what you're saying?
When you become strong enough through practice, you can witness the news without allowing it to come into your experience.
Oh.
When you mature into the vibration and frequency, you can see something, but it doesn't have to come into your experience. So you can look at the facts. You can now there is a period of time when a beginner needs to, like, sometimes do what I call a mind fast, where they fast from the news, they fast from negativity. If anybody tries to share gossip about someone, they don't listen to it. You fast for it. You practice the law of attraction, the law of radiance, meditation, affirmative prayer. You practice so that you become strong. Now, once you become really strong, if you want to look at the news, as I teach, becomes a prayer request. It's the government's and the nation's prayer request. It's saying, oh, this negative thing happened, this negative thing happened, this negative thing happened. It tells me what qualities to emit into the world. Oh, so if everybody's afraid of the flu, then I have to touch into that part of me that's divine, healthy, and whole, and I emit that vibration into the atmosphere. And so in the beginning, yes, turn away from it. As you become stronger and stronger and stronger, you can actually be aware of something without it becoming a part of your experience. I can look at movies, I can read the newspaper, and that will not come into my experience. It just becomes a prayer request for something to me to pray for. I said, oh, this happened. Oh, this is happening. This happened yesterday. It's really the old. It's really the same thing happening, but happening through and to different people. Because the newspaper is just a Rorschach test of a state of consciousness. Fear, doubt, worry, lack, limitation, not enoughness, drama, gossip. It's just the same thing that's happening at the lowest level of human consciousness. So you just see who's happening to it, who is it happening to today, and what country. And it becomes the platform for you to do your work. So you go within. Don't allow that to become a part of your experience. You can be aware. It's like you can be aware of a distraction without being distracted by it. It's the same thing in meditation that I teach. You can be aware of distractions, but they don't have to distract you. You can be aware of the human experience, but it doesn't have to come into your experience. Now, how does that work? Nothing comes into your experience uninvited. And there's provocation, there's intimidation, and there's seduction. So when you look at the news, they will seduce you with music, they'll provoke you, or they'll intimidate you. But once you become immune to seduction and provocation and intimidation, and you're able to see it, you just laugh at it. You say, oh, they're trying to seduce me into being afraid, into hating Muslims or gay people or Mexicans or black people, you see, or a disempowering of women. They're trying to seduce me or provoke me or intimidate me into that. I see it. I can see it. So once I see, that's called the devil's pitchfork. So, you know what I mean? Provocation and seduction and intimidation is one of the devil's pitchforks. Keeps you locked in the human experience. But once you can't be provoked, then you can look at all that stuff swirling around as human consciousness and choose a higher thought. Yeah.
And that's actually our responsibility.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Because we've got to get out of the place where we're blaming the government, the people in it, and we've got to start projecting out.
Absolutely.
Really.
The government and the elected officials, in many cases, are the outpicturing of a state of consciousness. Now, look at the consciousness, and let's just say in America over the last 20 years. You used to have statesmen, and you used to have like newsworthy reporters who did research.
Right.
And when they actually went to the news, they had done the research themselves. They weren't actors that were getting information from somebody and then News at 11, then reading something to you. They actually did their own research. And then what began to happen is something called the Jerry Springer effect, where you had this, really wild stuff on television called reality shows, and people began to be entertained through gossip and in reality shows. And now when I was coming up, one of the worst things you could ever be in life is a gossip. No one wanted to be around a gossip, because if a gossip talked to you about somebody, you know that they're sure as heaven going to talk about you to somebody else, because a gossip is a gossip. Now, gossip people make millions of dollars gossiping and finding dirt on people, sometimes exaggerating and even making it up. And so you have the gossips and you have reality shows. So people have become hypnotized, seduced, and provoked into. So that's why you could have an actor become governor of California. You could have a president that went from a reality show of Apprentice, you're fired, to actually being a president of the United States, because the people could not tell the difference between celebrity and intelligence, celebrity and character, celebrity and love, celebrity and that which is real. So we have to take our consciousness back. We have to take our mind back, and we have to place our attention on that which is real, that which is forever. So the work that you're talking about here every single day, that's what we have to do.
Yeah, I see. And I see that our time is almost up. I can't thank you enough. I want to remind all of the listeners that you are on the cover of Law of Attraction magazine, April 1st, and that you have written an exclusive article, which I'm so excited about. And is there anything that you want to mention as far as events coming up at Agape or anything?
Absolutely. Since this is coming on the cover of April, then you need to first of all, let people know that they can actually watch my services from anywhere around the world. All they have to do is go to agapelive.com, agapelive.com, and they can witness the live services every Wednesday evening, 6:45, the meditation begins, 7:15, the service begins, or on Sundays. 6:30 a.m. is a great meditation service. It's called the Way of Meditation. And then there's a meditation service at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Worship service, celebration service starts at 9. And then another meditation service at 11 a.m. with a celebration service at 11:30. And there also, I want to invite, if there's space left, I want to invite everyone to our annual spring meditation retreat, which begins May 25th. It's the 25th, 26th, and the 27th at the Lucerne Valley Ranch. It's going to be very powerful. And guess what? The theme is whole soul devotion, navigating through vibrational turbulence.
Ooh.
So people should go to agapelife.com and register for that meditation retreat. And I think that's all the news fit to print at this moment. And you can go to michaelbernardbeckwith.com as well. But
That's great. I got to tell you that Pam Grout was with us on the last Law of Attraction cruise. And the first thing she did when she got off the plane in LA is run to Agape.
right.
She had to be at that service. She couldn't get on the boat without going to Agape. So, you know, what Pam Grout thinks is super fabulous, we agree with her. And boy.
Thank you so much. Agape is a destination point. People are building their conferences and business conferences and vacations around this area so they can finally get to Agape in person.
Absolutely.
And they live stream if they don't live in Los Angeles.
And that's the way to go. And so everybody in other countries, you can tune in. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful.
Jules, thank you for the invitation. God bless you. Keep up the great work.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another great show from Law of Attraction Talk Radio. If you'd like to comment on tonight's show, send an email to jules@loaradionetwork.com and have a great week.